Everybody, a Cantonese cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese cat here. This is a monthly chart. Mara has been brutalized today. At some point it was down about 10%, and right now it's kind of bouncing back to about -9, -8% or so, hovering around 18. It's been a pretty brutal 3 months here for holders of Mara. As you can see, that everybody's just been kind of looking at Bitcoin making an all-time high, while Mara is just kind of stuck sideways. So let's kind of dig a little bit deeper into what's going on. In order to look at that, if you look at it on a weekly time frame, you might actually be able to tell a little bit better. Even though it's been finding a lot of resistance here, as you can see, there's a lot of price history here, which is also shown here at the volume shelf over here too. Volume shelf is around 21, and the top of this volume shelf is around like 30. So between 21 and 30, this whole shelf right here has been pretty strong resistance. It's been pretty hard for price to kind of get over. And when it got rejected, it tends to follow and back test some of these lower areas of volume shelves. Where you have 19 right there. You have about 17.5, which it tested today. And you also have some lower levels too. They can serve as pretty good potential support if you need it. But right now, price has really spent about 3 months trying to push above this volume shelf, and has been having a hard time doing so. Regardless, it's been making a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. This wick right there, that's a higher high, and right now it's trying to find a higher low. So the entire thing seems to still be, very much a bull trend. And if you look at the weekly moving averages, it's still pointing to a pretty decent bull trend here. The 20-week moving average is still pointing up, even though price did kind of get below that. But the thing about these, the two things that I have to say about this. First thing is that today's Thursday, so you're only going to have another extra day tomorrow for market open. Volume's really been declining from this down move. The buying volume right here is a lot higher than the sell volume here, and sell volume here is actually been decreasing. So even though there's a little slight breakdown of this 20-week moving average on the orange right here, it's on relatively lower volume, so I'm not sure if I can trust this move. Another thing that makes me doubt this move is that the 20-week moving average is pointing up. And when you have a moving average that's kind of pointing up, together with the borderline support band also pointing up here as well, the borderline support band is basically consisted of the 20-week SMA simple moving average and 21-week exponential moving average. It's still pointing up, and when it does that, generally this can serve as a pretty good support but very poor resistance. So even the price dips down there, the dipping down there may still be a little bit non-committal. So I'm not sure if I trust this breakdown here. In addition, it also has hit this pretty important volume shelf right here. It seemed to be finding support today. On volume, that is not that impressive. Even on the daily volume, even though it did break down the borderline support band here, it'll also even break down the 100-day moving average here. The volume has just been, this down move has just been declining. I mean, this is not a very trustworthy move. It just seems that they're trying, the market makers are trying to flush out all the sellers, and once the volume has declined to the point that there's not any sellers anymore, they're ready to pump the price up. So there are a couple of things we influence on volume as well as the moving averages, and also all the weekly moving averages, 20 stacking above 50, stacking above 100. This is a pretty decent bull trend right here. So even though there's a pretty brutal move over here over the last week or two, and I'm just not sure whether or not I trust this bearish move. A lot of people are saying that Bitcoin dips down further if it corrects all the way down to like 52,000, which is certainly a possibility. They're worried that Mara is gonna really be completely brutalized. I think it's making two assumptions here. First assumption is that you're assuming that Bitcoin is going to dip down to 52,000, which is always a possibility because you're always going to have some people taking profits when they pot like at 20, 30K. At a certain point, once it reaches all-time high, they're going to want to secure some of their profits. But at this point, there's really no guarantee that the Bitcoin correction down to like 50K or something like that is going to happen. Secondly, because the miners have really not been very well correlated with Bitcoin on the way up. Like, why do you think that it's gonna do the same thing if Bitcoin goes down 3%? It's gonna go down further, like 10% or 12%. I mean, I'm just not sure whether or not that correlation can necessarily be made at this point. I think people tend to think that because what happened over the last few weeks has not been favorable, is going to stay unfavorable forever. I just don't know whether or not that's true. With addition to the fact that you have a pretty strong bull trend here on the weekly, and price did kind of break below the bull market support band here, but there's no guarantee that it has to be broken down. You know, you certainly need confirmation. Just like over here, and price broke about this negative sloping bull market support band here. Are you going to say that price is just going to keep going up? No, it's going to back test it, and when it back tests, it can break down. So just because it broke down below, it doesn't necessarily really concern me that much at this point, but it's something to kind of pay attention to. The other thing to look at would be to look at the Ichimoku cloud. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud, it's really not giving you too much information here. It's still above, it's still very nicely above. The price did break down below the Kijun and Tenkan right here. So unfortunately, these levels are not going to be serving as very good support. But if you look at the monthly, it also has kind of broke down below the Kijun and the Tenkan. But last month it broke above, so it didn't really sustain. So why do you think breaking down below is necessarily going to mean anything, right? If anything, it looks like the wick is becoming less and less. If anything, it looks like we just kind of found support or this volume shelf over here for the month. So I actually think it's just been going sideways, just been going consolidating. And if you look at the weekly, it's just been making higher lows after high, high after higher low after high, high. And right now it's trying to form a higher low. I'm not really that concerned about the price history here. If anything, I feel that once we're able to break about this volume shelf right here, once we're able to break about 30 and already spend months number 1, 2, 3, and 4 doing it, I think the resistance here is getting weaker and weaker. And once we're able to break about 30, I think it's going to go to the top, at the bottom of this Ichimoku cloud, like the low 40s, relatively soon. And that could happen over the next couple of months or so. I think possibly even regardless of what Bitcoin is doing. The reason why I'm saying that is because I really do think that the MAR price has probably been more correlated with the small cap indexes, IWM, more than Bitcoin at this point. And IWM is still pretty far away from its all-time high. So I think, you know, it's going to be hard for Mara to kind of justify the push, the push up, if you will. It did have a bullish crossover here, which is favorable. I do hope that if by the end of March we'll be able to kind of close above both these moving averages, get back to, you know, like 21 or something like that. I think this is going to be a pretty favorable setup for it to potentially push up to the cloud over the next month or two. Regardless, if you wonder why I bring up IWM, I want you to watch a video that I made a few days ago actually, in terms of why miners are lagging behind Bitcoin. And I'm not going to give the answer away, but there's a nice video that I just put out a few days ago. I think you should watch it. Regardless, this is the Ichimoku cloud. If you look at other indicator, including the Bollinger Bands, you can see that price has been trying to push above the upper Bollinger Band, but it's just been failing to do so. But the 20-month moving average is still kind of pointing up. I think it just needs some more time, and you know, hopefully we're going to get a little bit more impulsive price action after the Bitcoin halving to try to push the price up higher, to try to push above this volume shelf, get above 30, and continue to expand the Bollinger Band to get up there. Right now it's just kind of going sideways, and these things happen. It's consolidating for a big move, and the big move, as you see on the weekly moving averages, they're stacking up to the bull side. If you see the 20-month moving averages stacking up to the bull side, this expansion of the Bollinger Band is probably precipitating a bullish move to the upside, would be my best guess. That's kind of it. The other thing I wanted to show you, and I always do, is to look over at the Fibonacci levels to just kind of remind you we got rejected from the 0.382 and we dipped below the 0.236. So if we're able to close this month or next month about the 0.236, and if we're able to use that as energy to kind of get above the volume shelf back to 30, I think things are going to look a lot better after that, and this can happen relatively fast regardless of what Bitcoin does. I think it could potentially push up to these higher levels in about a month or two. We'll see what happens. Nobody has the answer, but I do feel encouraged based on just looking at the volume that you do have some consolidation here. It does seem that overall the buying volume tends to be going up versus sell volume tends to be going down. So that tells me that the bulls have more conviction than the bears. And if you also look at the data, even from back here, you can see the bulls have more convictions than the bears for a whole year in 2023 now. When you have selling volume, it's not very high. The only exception is, I think, once you get up to this very, very important level right around here, that's when people really start to take profit that bought somewhere down here, which is completely understandable, and we just need to work through some of the technicals. But right now, again, it's still looking like it's trying to form a little bit of a higher low. So still a bull trend. I'm still optimistic. I just added more to this today, and we'll see what happens. Thank you for listening. Bye.